Welcome to the Carpet Cleaning Success Podcast. AI Marketing Experts is your backstage pass to the future of marketing. Hosted by a powerhouse crew of AI-savvy entrepreneurs, including John Clendenning, this weekly show unpacks the tools, trends, and real-world applications of artificial intelligence in digital marketing.
Welcome back for another exciting episode of the AI Marketing Experts Podcast we love to call Amy. And we've got a new character, Amy, too, and she's cute, so you're going to see her sometime coming out. Anyways, so we're going to talk about vibes, right? We all got cool vibes around here. I got the cool vibe hat on today, and we're going to talk about the whole world of vibing with AI. What I'm joking on is vibe coding. So AI is, we've talked about having agents. We've talked about having, using good prompts and all kinds of crazy stuff over the last quite a while. And what we want to talk about now is this whole world of having agents go out and do stuff. And you don't even have to know that they're agents at this point. Like, AI Studio. I'm going to show you a couple things I did with AI Studio a while ago that Brad's going to show you where he's at next level right now. Laura's got some things to show about another tool. Lovable, was it? I believe. And Chris and I we kind of the ones that geek out on Claude Code and in the background, a little more of the command line stuff, which is kind of neat for one reason, kind of restrictive for the other, because there's things that you can do, like you get tied down in that, and you kind of don't really pay attention to the world of vibe. But what we're really saying is that we're in a world now, regardless of what tool, AI Studio, Manus does this. So Manus got bought out by Meta there a while ago, and or whether you're going to go through Claude Code, you say something, and it spins up these little agents in the background, and you can watch them and say, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go investigate this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go start coding this. And you can get it to build something out. So you can say, hey, can you go take a look at the top 5 competitors in the marketplace and compare them on these certain things? Oh, and by the way, I would love your output to be in the form of a website that I can show my clients. And this isn't a website that you're going to keep for the rest of your life. This is just a website that you're going to, you're going to use once, show off, do whatever, and then shut her down. So because vibe coding doesn't need to cost you $2, $3, $5, $10,000 of a programmer and a feature map and all this, you just talk to it and let it help you figure it out. So that's our topic today. Before we start sharing some screens and showing some stuff, who's got a little bit of input and playing around with vibe coding and any little storytelling around the vibes?
I'll start out. I noticed, so I use Claude Code quite a bit, and I use it in conjunction now with Whisper Flow, and it is so much faster. That's a whole different subject. But the problem is that I've been running into is I'm running into context window usage being used up dramatically more than the past couple of weeks prior to this, right? And so I've got a new laptop. I installed Claude Code on it, got it all set up like my other laptop was, right? And the only difference was that I did not add Z.ai to this Claude Code. I just went straight out of the box with Claude being the basis of Claude Code, right? But I noticed in the past couple of weeks that I'm just running out of tokens a lot faster. And when I say a lot faster, I mean like within 30 minutes, I'm out of my context window, and I've got to reset the window again. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at my usage, and it's just like completely eaten up. So I looked into it and found out that there's an underlying reason for that. Okay. And if you've noticed that, you're using Claude heavily, like I am in the past couple of weeks, you will have noticed that you're running into these same issues. Okay. So, the reason for this is because there are 1 million users being added to the Claude platform every single day now. Okay. People are migrating at a very fast pace away from OpenAI, away from ChatGPT, away from other platforms into Claude, because Claude is really, in the past and I read this also, is that in the past 53 days, they've had 75, I think, major updates to their platform, right? And these are major fundamental updates that are majorly changing things at a very, very fast pace, right? So people are noticing things like co-work, things like Claude Code. I mean, people are starting to hear these things and jump on board, okay? The problem is they still have the same amount of servers, okay? They can't build server data centers and all that kind of stuff fast enough for the spike that they've had. And so therefore, they've gone to, in the past couple of weeks, and I did get a notice about this, that during off-peak hours, they would incentivize you by doubling the amount of tokens that you would normally get. I'm like, cool, all right. My peak time, that best time brain-wise to work with Claude Code is typically from 6 a.m. when I wake up until about 10 a.m. And that's just simply because by 10 a.m. I'm getting hit by clients and coworkers and stuff like that, right? So I try to get all of my coding done early. Well, that's right during their peak usage, which
just
apparently
like doing
is
your washing at peak electricity
Right.
times, man.
Exactly.
You got to do it in the middle of the night.
So the past couple of weeks, not only have they done this to where they incentivize you to use it outside of that, they're actually penalizing you by making you use more tokens, double the amount of tokens during that peak usage time. So think of it like Uber, right? What is it called? To where when surge, right? You get surge prices, right? So it's the same idea, I think, there. So just be aware of that as you're using things like Claude Code, especially anything in the Anthropic arena right now. Is just they're just getting slammed. Their data centers are getting slammed right now, so they're trying to do anything and everything that they can.
And they're getting slammed because they're better. Like, I mean, like AI.
That's what I've been saying for months, though, right?
They're better, and I guess Google's right there, obviously, with AI Studio. But Claude came out with the app, the Windows app. It now has the ability to take over your entire computer. That was just released the other day. And then they've got right now. I've got Claude Code on my laptop at home. I'm in the office. I've got the Claude app, and as of the recent update, it now is seamless for me just to log in remotely to that. I can do anything I want and talk to that agent over there. So you don't need an OpenClaw and those kind of things. You can put it all on Telegram. You've got that whole thing going on. And it's just like, you're right. They're just shipping all kinds of new features and, holy crap. So, and compute is the biggest problem on planet Earth. So if anybody wants to invest in something, here's a quick little tip. Elon Musk just talked about or released, how they're building TerraFab. So almost all chips on planet Earth are made in Taiwan on a small little island. They know how to make chips. Nobody else does. They got the machines that from Germany, I think it is, or Austria. Anyways, the CERT machines, the lithography machines that create these chips down to 7 and 3 now micron chips and stuff like that. Well, Elon just announced that they can't keep up with the volume of chips he needs for putting data servers in space by next year and the year after. So they're building it all, just like he did with Tesla, all inside one building, their own lithography, their own chips, inventing new physics to solve this. And that was just launched the other day because of all the chips produced on planet Earth, it's like 1/1000th of what they need, or 1/100th or 1,000th of what they need, just what Elon just needs for XAI alone. So chips are a problem. Token math is a problem. We talked about that last time. So, anybody else vibing and vibe coding and input on vibes and all that kind of stuff before we do a few little screen shares? Laura, you got anything? We're going to share something that you did with
I'm going to share something here after Brad, or I can share first. But it is fascinating that any of these ideas that used to, we'd have our development teams and we'd go and it would take weeks or months or something now, especially if we have just a strong foundation and we write it out, if we know exactly what our ideal is. Even if you don't, you can start talking it out and know that it's getting stronger by each iteration. I mean, it is amazing that when we're doing that, it can just take a concept. Years ago, you knew you had to carve out a lot of time and team members in order to bring any of those to market. And now just the first, what it rolls out, it blew me away. So the one that I'll be sharing with everybody is taking something from pen and paper. Here on the farm, my husband tends to write out what all of our filters are, so we have to have our filters, the maintenance, the oil changes, the hours on each machine, when we've gone through it, who went through it. And there was a lot of paperwork. And what he found out is one of the family members had kept ordering filters that were no longer needed because that particular piece of machine was sold. And so now we had surplus. So a few weeks ago, Lovable had a She Builds. And so I had been playing around with Lovable, but I decided I'm going to really lean in and take what he was telling me and see what I could surprise him with. And so I can show that now if you'd like, regarding just how we're keeping track of our fleet.
Yeah, I think it's a good start. Yes. Yeah, show that, because that's so cool. Then I'll show something a little bit more up the chain, and then we'll go to Brad where we can go, holy crap.
Exactly. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, and these are all fictitious pieces of equipment that I was just throwing in here and everything, but we know if they're active pieces of machine, if they've been sold, we can add them as we need. It will ask, what is the usage pattern? Because some of these will stay parked until we need them again next year. But we can go ahead and say, okay, we have an average hours a day. Like if we're using the ripper and we have a particular piece of machine, the ripper, we may not be needing to oil, grease, do any of the updates for that particular thing, but the tractor will need to know exactly what every part and piece is. So down to the serial number, when it's purchased, we can be as specific as we want. Like I said, I loaded this up so that he can have a chance to look at it. And then you just add the piece of equipment. But as someone's able to use it, now mind you, because it's vibe coding, it'll be able to be pulled through on their phone. They would be actually able to put when the oil was changed, when everything was greased. If they have ordered something in, it will tell we have the part inventory now. If they have a particular place that we want to order it from, this talks about need to order, the hours, the maintenance. So now, depending on who is working in the shop that day, can see what needs to be done. And then as we go ahead and try to look at expenses, they can even rate parts, because there were some things that came in that he commented that would be a filter or a fan belt that he would never order again. And then we have a way that it would actually go out and pull information in, whether it be, some of these parts, because some of the pieces of equipment are extremely old, eBay might be our only option. You can't really go back to the manufacturers if they haven't been manufactured for a long time. But it just was fascinating as to, and every time he'd see it, he goes, oh, but what about this? And what about that? And so just able to go back and forth to see how it can pull things together was fascinating. And then we have it so they can export the PDFs, because again, he's like, I really would like to have something there for some of the people that would not have access to the app per se, but he can export a PDF, he can print it. So it was just fascinating to take a problem that he had and look to how we can solve it.
And just to be clear, so this is because you are a fully trained 20-year coding Python expert, and this you had all of these ideas in your head and you knew exactly what lines of code needed and how to build this entire thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely not. Now, to think this up, to dream it up, to go, that's the concept. But again, years ago, when we would actually build out mobile apps, just the sheer planning that had to go into those. And it was, we storyboards and we, drew everything up and kind of had it so that they would walk through it and everything. This just allowed us to keep going back and forth. And like you guys said, just talk it to Lovable and ask for it to be put in, like again, with the PDFs, the prints, thinking, okay, how will we be reminded that something's overdue? So again, it just was absolutely, it
becomes a co-pilot that you're just saying, hey, what about this? What about that?
Yes.
And if you say, well, no, that looks okay, but I actually wanted to look more like this, you could have a screen share, you could have a sketch. literally take a screenshot of a napkin you wrote on, said, no, I want it to look, oh, now I get what you're saying. And off it goes again. Right.
And again, this is not to completion. You know, we're working on something with a client that they always wanted that decision tree because different pieces of machines go with different implements go with different machines. You have to have, certain horsepower. You have to have, certain base, etc. So you just can't go and buy this to fit everything. And that decision tree, where you are able to walk them through and them to go, oh, that just solved how many conversations. And so when the person comes to us, they know exactly which of our implements will fit their equipment on their farm. Done. And so we're able to finalize it.
The scary moment around this is, and it is the scary moment, is the reason why SaaS companies, again, I invest quite a bit as well, and SaaS companies all took a hit and the market took a drop because they realized, and with Anthropic, when all this stuff released, crap, SaaS companies are very profitable outside of marketing. 80% of revenue is profit before marketing. 20% covers the whole company. So they're really great companies for investments. They're really great for, the open credit market where they borrow money to go, 20 million, 30 million to try and do a surge to become Salesforce.com or Salesforce 2.0 and fight against them because they might have $1 million of a monthly subscription. 800,000 of that is profit before marketing. They can borrow money. They're great investments until you can replace them in an afternoon with a couple of ideas, Laura, and just put an entire company out of business, Laura. But you know what I mean? And no, seriously. And it's just like, it's an interesting world that we're in now, where that's where we're at now that really didn't exist a few months ago. Like we're saying with everything, like we're talking about the speed of change. Well, the speed of change is doing Moore's law. It's getting cheaper and it's going faster. We're at the hockey stick like this now. And it's insane what's coming out every single week, every single month. Yeah, it is. And what I'll show is sort of like where it came from a little bit, entire screen. So like this was maybe a couple months ago when Google AI Studio first came out. And I had this spreadsheet that I would sit on calls with clients and go, okay, well, pay per click, if your average cost per click, and I'm putting these numbers and I'm going like this. When I first learned about AI Studio, when it first came out, I went, hey, I've got some context. I want this turned into some sort of an app. I gave it this spreadsheet and gave it a little bit of back and forth, and it built this, right? And at first didn't build it like, oh, no, I want on this. Now I can do sliders. There's the change in the price. There's the change in the ads of the week. There's how, right? And everything changes all the way through. There's the client's contribution. Like what is their average booking percentage on the phone and what's their average carpet cleaning job for our niche, right? Don't run the ads. 1.7 ROI is absolutely crap. But if we can get your cost per click down to $7 and you can get your booking percentage up to say 50% by better scripts, definitely run it. You put that $1,500 in and made $5,900 out. Then I said, you know what? I really need to teach these guys about the lifetime value of a client. Cool. I'll put that in for you. Couple of conversations later, boom. So I went, well, that's really cool. And as Laura said, you can put it on a mobile device because it already built it mobily, right? I didn't do that. I talked, right?
All right.
So then I said, well, cool. I got this worksheet. What can I do about this worksheet? Like it's got a whole bunch of pages. Figure out your annual budget, a whole budget plan, a worksheet, and marketing plan, and all this kind of stuff. A lot of time, and I spend hours going through this with consulting clients, right? So I took it I said, well, here's my look. I like this look you gave me. Boom. Same idea, but there's the whole worksheet turned into that. There's your cost per lead, and there's your whole entire annual budget. Adjustable,
it's interactive.
printable,
yes,
everything. And, yeah.
The spreadsheets were too, but there's something about this look and feel that just takes it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so this is Google AI Studio, and I'll wrap up with this. We talked about, going into a tool like Manus. So like in something like Manus, again, it's just another one of these tools that you talk to and it can go out and do a whole bunch of really cool stuff. And everybody kept talking about Manus. Manus is cool. Dan Martell talks about Manus. You build an app that revives dead leads and sends emails and stuff like that. You can build things that spy on competitors. You can, you can build an app and a website and all that to, when you put out job postings, they have to come, they have to fill out forms, they have to do this. And it's just, you talk. You don't have to wait for the dev team to get this all done, right? You don't need to hire any of us for, $5,000-$10,000. Sorry about us. But to do that, once you learn this, you can lean into a community like we have to teach you how to do this. There's a place for everybody. SEO is changing, stuff is changing. You need a learning hub, but you don't need to be out saying, I got an idea. Oh crap. We've all spent as agency owners, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars building out ideas that never went. Danny Barrera was on our show there a while ago. He's $300,000 for something that went dead. So what I did is I was about to meet with one of our clients and I said, can you research the top 5 carpet cleaning companies in Boise, Idaho, figure out their uniqueness, their unique sales proposition, their risk reversal guarantee, and create a web page to show me which one's leading, right? That was in Manus. It did all of this. So I got some of these open so you can see what it did. Great idea, it says. And then off it goes and spins up, knowledge and spins up a couple different agents doing, this is agentic work, right? So I've kind of opened these up so you can see what they do. It created a summary overview document first before getting to the website. And then eventually it created the website. And let me see if I can open it because it's really cool. I've just got the wrong screen up. Just give me a second. There it is. Let's pull that up. Dashboard, where is that? I'm on the dashboard. I'm trying to get on the actual web. Open on, there we go. There's the website I built, right? So this is all the top 5 carpet cleaning companies in Boise, Idaho. There's a full comparison matrix between the things that we talked about. But then if I want to see all categories, Ultimate Carpet Cleaning is number 1. Our client is number 2. There's a few points that we need to bring them up across all these things. But I can say, well, okay, what about for guarantee strength? Well, that's Ultimate. What about for technology? Well, Zero Res talks about having different technology, a certain patented water. Eco-friendly, there's our clients. We talk about that. Pet odor, Bullseye talks about that. Okay, so we can do more pet odor on our client's website to make them more of the authority in the local marketplace. And then we can go down here and say, well, on any individual company, what do we need to know about just the individual company itself? And I could just click on Safe and Soft. And there's everything about them. I can click on Zero Res. So not clicking on eco-friendly, but clicking on the company. And this is just reordering the page and creating all of that. I built none of this. And what it actually did, if we go look, is it actually decided, okay, when I go to build the page, I need an image. So it generated first a piece of carpet and then in Nano Banana all by itself. And then it created a background image based on that piece of carpet theme. So it started creating its own brand guide gen, and then it decided to pull it so that it could create its own background photo for a color scheme it had picked. If I didn't like the color scheme, I could say, oh, no, I want that green and blue, go do again. And it would just redo its own. And it thought this whole thing up. I literally had no interactions until it popped it out.
And vibe coded it.
Yeah, and it just built it and created this one page that I'll never, like I showed to the client. They were thrilled. And the only other time I need to show this to you guys right now, because it was minutes before a call, showed them where they are, what we're working on as far as their brand and sentiment in the marketplace outside of SEO and paid ads. This is how the market positions you and why we've got you in the number 2 spot, trying to move you up to number 1 across everybody. So
that's epic.
Isn't that
that's
epic?
Some cool stuff, John.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then Brad, you've been telling us that you guys have been playing crazy with AI Studio lately and got some cool content stuff on the go. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'll show you some stuff. I'll be the first to admit I do not have the high-end energy that John has. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit, right?
Nobody does.
Pretty, but it's flashy. I'm taking notes because I'm going to have to talk to John about borrowing some of these ideas so I can vibe code some of these things myself because I really like those. So I think a lot of times, we looked at what Laura shared, unbelievable. My wheels are spinning on that one. And then, like I say, what the other folks here have shared, really, really good stuff. I think a lot of times local businesses, they run into a bottleneck of how do we create content? How do we create it on brand, as Jen would always say? And how can we do it quickly, efficiently, with our colors, with our photos, with our message, right? So I'm going to share for just a minute because it's just straightforward. And what we're going to talk about is the fact that, again, this is something that is vibe coded. Let's not go there. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so this is all created in Google AI Studio, right? And so now with Google AI Studio, you can talk to it to create what you want. In this case, we call it the SEO content architect, right? And literally, we're able to put in this case, different clients, but you could put in different departments or different services, whatever you wanted to do. And now this is a private app that we have for our internal team to create content. So we're able to go into our project settings. We're able to put information in there as much as little as we want. We're able to upload images over here. We're then able to go into we have a knowledge base that we've put together here. Again, this one's kind of in a concept mode, but it is working. But from there, it will then create articles, right? So this is a pretty decent article, I think, based on what we told it to do. It created the images. This is all coming from Google, so it's banana. And then from there, we can literally just copy to Google Docs, and we can then put it into our blog. Now, we are working on some final automation on some of this. So a lot of this will be more automatic, where it's just human in the loop, meaning, okay, it's done. Next round is done. Okay, review it. Okay, and then we're making sure that it will automatically post over to the website. So again, you can have multiple different departments or whatever you wanted to do. But the long and short of it is again, I'm not a coder. I'm not the one that would normally do all this with trying to write out code, right? And now we can, as Laura shared, I mean, that just blew me away. We can now talk to what we want, whatever tool it is, Lovable, Manus, Google AI Studio, Claude, all of them. You can talk to them, right? Because I was talking to my wife earlier yesterday, and she's been a programmer for 35 years, right? So she's in a completely different industry that I'm in, but I started talking to her about some of the things that are happening in her industry. Again, code and all these really brain draining tasks that can now be automated with your voice. So it's coming quick. It's only going to get crazier.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because my team, we just recently moved over using Claude Code for creating GBP posts based on competitors, things that were happening, like what we needed right now. So it's been very, in the moment. Still manual, though. It's not a scheduled thing. Like it was in co-work, but it needed that oversight from the team member. And that was 3 weeks ago that we started doing that. It's already outdated. Extremely outdated compared to, apps that are doing these things and things like that. So, it's mind-boggling.
And I think that what John had said, okay, to hire us or not to hire us and such. Yes, we may not be going and building websites from scratch or HTML like we used to, or, dusting off our Dreamweavers or whatever it might have been for years ago. But to Jen's point, this is how fast it's changing. And that's what we are helping our clients with, is so that they don't feel that overwhelm. I mean, I love this example. Somebody said, there's, the stores that we can go and build or grab the building supplies to build a building. But guess what? I'm going to still hire a builder because they can do it faster and more efficient. And so even if, we are the experts that can help you move forward, even if you do want to take this on and vibe code something yourself, reach out. we would definitely like to help everybody out with how they don't have to start 18 steps back where we would have been before. So if someone comes to me now and says, hey, how can I build, like I said, a website, I'm not going to hand them Dreamweaver. I'm going to start them where we are today.
Yeah. Part of that's the curation thought as well. So people join our show and because shows like this, because there is a lot going on. The shiny object syndrome. We as a group of 5 of us go down all the different rabbit holes. Next thing you know, Brad's showing us something on Notebook LM, and we're all, Chris showed Claude Code there for the longest time until I finally went, oh, you mean Claude Code, kind of idea. Then all of a sudden I'm all in and a bag of chips on that one, and so, and the point being is like a curated expert. So you come here, you see we're all playing in the sandbox, and we've found what's working right now, and some good stories and use cases around it, and how to kind of think it through. When you're dealing with any agencies, still have a place, the expert, because yes, you can build a website. Absolutely. Can you build a website? It's just no different. We have clients that go, oh, I would like the entire website you just built me changed to look like this one. And you go, okay. This one works based on this psychology, this story brand, this stuff, all the heat maps we've tested. That one probably gets no clients, and you're going to have to, give out your URL to everybody to get them to come, because it's not going to rank anymore. It doesn't have any of the right stuff on it, but it's pretty, right? Because, and that I have those conversations on a weekly basis with clients. It's like, yes, okay, I want this, I want that. Okay, we can try and weave that into the process and the design, but ours is based on the psychology of, do you want to see the hot jar and the heat maps and what's actually happening on the website, where people are clicking, and how long they're staying on your website now before when they were, and do you have any stats on the one that you like, or is it just pretty? And there's a point at which they go, okay, John, just do what you know, right? Kind of idea. But the point is, we all think we have an opinion, but opinions are like buttholes, as they say, but it doesn't mean it's right. So there is a point where experts help weave and wiggle through. So our roles as agencies is changing constantly, but the part being that we are as growth partners in helping businesses, because we work with a whole bunch of businesses exactly like yours in a niche and those kind of things. And that's where you want to reach out to. It's no different than Janice downtown that runs the computer shop and website store. Janice is a lovely person. She's got lovely computers and lovely websites, but she also worked with a plumber and a chiropractor and a flower shop, and she knows none of them well, but she knows how to do the basics. You switch that up to an expert, even if they are vibe coding it and stuff like that, they actually know what to say and do and build. So
yes, and they know, like you said, there is so much more that goes into a website than just hitting publish. So I'm glad that you brought that forward, because we do have history on what is changing, why things are built the way they are. And Jen has that much more her expertise when it comes to the branding, the psychology of it all. I mean, and of course, how to put it together. It's not as quick as talking it through and saying done. To your point, a pretty website is just that. Pretty cannot guarantee clients.
You know what I tell clients when they tell me they want something? I say, I would build you an ugly website in a second if that is what it took. I'm saying this wrong, but basically, pretty means nothing if it's not actually like doing its job and making them money and expanding the business and giving the information in the right way that it needs to. So like pretty, we're fortunate that we don't have to have ugly websites nowadays that also do that hard work. But even though I'm into branding, I would still build an ugly website all day long if that's what it took. Rather, if I had to choose between that, or pretty, pretty just doesn't cut it.
I think one of the best examples I had. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the Etsy Awards for marketing. There was back in the day with the Chihuahua ads for Taco Bell won the awards and stuff like that. As their stock was tanking and the company was losing customers, they won the award for the best advertising campaign because it was cute. So it used to be a story that Dan Kennedy told as well was, if you want to make a lot of money on Madison Avenue in a marketing agency, find out what dog the owner's wife has and put that in the ad. Nothing else matters. They'll pay you forever because the wife likes the ads. Right.
That
and
is
it doesn't
clever.
matter if they work at all. So anyways.
I was
think
gonna
you were from
use-
a minute ago.
What, Brad? I'm sorry.
I think Chris had something to share a minute ago, but I
Yes,
think you
please.
got it.
I've completely forgotten what it was. So let's move on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
I think we're close to the
Had something
top.
to do with
tier.
buttholes, I'm sure, because we had buttholes brought up. But so what were you going to say, Laura?
I was just going to say the difference between if we were all holding a Nikon camera or a Canon or whatever it might be, my photos versus a professional photographers. They say that it's just amazing when the expert is holding the same tool, what can be accomplished.
Yes.
Very good.
That's true.
So I think we did. I think the point that we're sharing today on today's episode is, holy crap, look what can happen. Look what you can do, how you can think it into existence. I can't imagine what 6 months and a year from now is. You still need, can you make a little app that allows your staff to check in the morning and all of, yes, absolutely. If you want it hosted somewhere instead of just on these platforms and you want to say, okay, well, now what do I do with it? How do I move it? Ask. It will give you bundle it up. It'll package it up. It'll tell you what hosting plan to get and what database you need, and it'll help you move it over and all that kind of stuff as well. Now you own it. It's not just sitting on a vibe coding platform. And these things are now ask and you shall receive. And it is going to get crazy in our world. That's why they say a year from now, 2 at the most, your cell phones will not have apps on them at all, because you just ask for something, it will spin it up and do it and then shut it down because you don't need it anymore. So your app will just become an interface, or your phone will just become an interface, because that's that's how fast this is going and how big the context window is, as long as they build enough data servers, I guess. So to be able to keep up so we don't have to pay twice as much tokens at 6 o'clock in the morning. With that said, I think we've kind of covered a little bit. Keep an eye on everything we're doing at aimarketingexperts.net. You can, in the show notes, you can get a link to that. We have a free community you can jump into where we can carry on the conversation. There's lots of extra stuff. Take action with Amy notes from every episode. We've got a little bit deeper clubs coming as well. So there's wait lists for that where you can get a little bit more in depth and talk about these things and do some builds and all of that kind of stuff as well, because we're getting asked about all this stuff. We're speaking at a couple events coming up as a team. So if you have anything where you need one or any of us to have a conversation with your crowd about the basic levels of just getting into the AI world, a lot of business owners are driving this, but the team members are not keeping up right now. That seems to be a common thread in a lot of the news articles. So if you need a little bit of help of bringing that into your company, reach out to us as well. We'd all love to help. And with that, we definitely love you guys listening, sharing, liking, subscribing, any of the buttons around, all that kind of stuff. And keep an eye out for us next week. And, happy vibe coding, everybody.